Welcome into the Mercer County Football Show here on WBCD1490.com. Mike Samsel, George O'Gorman with you. Season number 3 of the Mercer County Football Show. And George, so far in the first 2 seasons, 2 for 2 in sectional champions. Hopefully Mercer County can make it 3 for 3 this year.
Well, you're wishing on that one. Hopefully we'll get a couple teams that, we'll get to the playoffs and go somewhere. But, it doesn't look like a great year. At least that's just my observations as we get ready to kick off another season with games Friday and Saturday. But, a lot of teams, the teams that were good last year, except probably for Hopewell Valley, have pretty much got a total rebuilding process ahead of them. Trenton graduated like 15, 16 guys from their team that, got to the playoffs and, revolutionized, I could say, Trenton football.
Right.
The Lawrence was totally wiped out. Not only lost Coach Rob Radis, who's now at Hopewell Valley, but they lost the majority of their big guns. Nate Jones is a longtime assistant, former Lawrence player, is now the head coach. One of 4 new head coaches in Mercer County. But I don't know. Chappie Moore lost 2 of his key players. Joe Abdo, the quarterback, for the last 3 games for Notre Dame, is now at Neshaminy. Lorenzo Bryant, who was their leading rusher, he pulled out and went to Hopewell Valley. I don't know. Steinert's got Kyle Muller back as their quarterback, but I don't know how much else Dan Caruso has to go with him. Steinert wasn't a bad ball club last year. Nottingham had some heavy graduation losses. John Adams rebuilding over there. West Windsor South, they didn't have a lot, and what they had pretty much was wiped out.
Right.
West Windsor North's got the quarterback back. He can throw. He can throw real well. And they got a couple of receivers from all indications to, complement him. Princeton's going to struggle again, just with the fact of numbers.
Right.
There just aren't the numbers up in Princeton, at least that play football. They got some good kids. They just don't have a lot of them. Remember last year, Liam Hellstrom was one of the best all-around players in, probably in, I won't say just Mercer County, but Central Jersey. He's given up football. He's gone down to Clemson. So really, I don't know what to make of this season as we get ready. We'll just keep our fingers crossed, and hopefully everybody stays healthy and the games are entertaining, especially the games that we're going to have on, on the network.
Yeah, we certainly do, and we'll have a couple of good ones this weekend. A couple of nice early tests. The first game we're going to have on the WBCD Sports Network will be coming up this Friday, and it will feature Allentown, the Redbirds, coming on down to Lawrenceville and taking on Notre Dame, the Irish. Brand new quarterback there, as you mentioned. Greg Campion will be the quarterback this year. New running backs, but the wide receivers are back. Most of the defense is back. They returned 9 starters on defense. Does Chappie Moore and John McKenna's unit defensively for the Notre Dame Irish. This is going to be a good test to see where Notre Dame is. Notre Dame is talking about running more of a hurry-up offense this year. Was talking to Chappie Moore in the preseason. He said he wants to run a play about every 18 seconds. Certainly would be a quick pace if the Irish can pull that off.
Yeah, it would be a very quick pace. I don't recall having seen anybody do that in Mercer County in maybe ever. That's an interesting matchup because not only does Trenton, does Notre Dame unveil a new quarterback, but the Allentown team that's coming in is coached by probably the best quarterback, I'll say, that Notre Dame ever had in Jay Graber, who certainly has turned around the Redbirds program. And Jay lost some key people to graduation, but he's a hard-working coach, and he's an excellent coach, and I see him going places in this game and in his career as a coach, and I think he's going to give that. It's a question if his quarterback can avoid the pass rush. The Irish will definitely come with. John McKenna will have another solid defense for Notre Dame. So, Jay Graber going back to coach against his alma mater and his former coach, Chappie Moore. So that's one of the highlight games. There's 4 games on the schedule for Friday night to open the season. Allentown and Notre Dame. West Windsor South goes into Hightstown, and Hightstown has a new coach. Cinnaminson plays at Robbinsville, and Hopewell Valley opens up its season. They're Dave Caldwell heading down into Burlington to take on Burlington Township, and that should be an excellent game. If I remember correctly, I don't know if we did that game last year, the Hopewell Valley at Burlington Township game, but Burlington Township lost some major players to graduation. Interesting, their quarterback, Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
At Burlington.
Not quite that same Aaron Rodgers, though, but Hopewell Valley is a team that everyone's really looking forward to this year. You have returning very good wide receiver in Mike Geist. You have Drew Wiley coming back, the linebacker, very good. You also have Lorenzo Bryant coming into that program. Hopewell Valley, probably right now, I would say the pole sitter as far as the expected success in Mercer County.
Saw some of the preseason state rankings, and the only team from our immediate area to even get listed was Hopewell Valley, which was one of the also-rans.
Right.
Which isn't bad considering it's the entire state, and Hopewell Valley coming off their great 10-1 season, they've got some weapons there, and I think Dave Caldwell will get the most out of them.
We got a slate of games coming up on the WBCB Sports Network and around the Mercer County area on Saturday as well. We'll take a look at them next. You're watching the Mercer County Football Show presented by the St. Francis Medical Center, your heart hospital in the city of Trenton. We'll be right back.
Discover the dealer for the people, Haldeman Ford Subaru, Route 33 in Hamilton Township. One of the region's finest state-of-the-art service facilities for all makes and models. A service facility so good, local school districts get their buses serviced at Haldeman. Police fleets, local municipalities get their cars and trucks serviced at Haldeman. From oil changes to tire sales, Haldeman Ford services all makes and models. And they offer tires for just $10 over cost on name brand tires like Goodyear and Pirelli. And their waiting room offers complimentary food. And there's a special Wi-Fi room available for your use. So no matter where you purchase your car, get it serviced at Haldeman Ford, the dealership for the people on Route 33 in Hamilton Township.
Don't forget, if you miss any of your local high school sports action, you can read all about it in tomorrow's edition of the Trentonian. For your complete local and national news 7 days a week, it's the Trentonian, or online at thetrentonian.com. The only newspaper serving Bucks, Burlington, and Mercer County 7 days a week, it's the Trentonian.
Hi, Merrill Reese to tell you about our good friends at the Revere Ristorante Italiano in nearby Ewing Township at 802 River Road. I can tell you that from South Philadelphia to New York's Mulberry Street, there's no better Italian cuisine than that served at the Revere. Start your meal with one of their great appetizers or salads. Entrees include outstanding veal dishes, fresh seafood daily, excellent steaks and chops, homemade pasta dishes, daily specials, and much more. You can also enjoy their bar area, where on most weekends, entertainment is offered. The Revere also does off-premise catering and can accommodate private parties for any affair, including business functions. Call the Revere Ristorante Italiano for more information and reservations at 609-882-6365. 882-6365. The Revere Ristorante Italiano open Monday through Friday for lunch and 7 days for dinner at 802 River Road, right off the Wilbertha Road exit on Route 29 in nearby Ewing Township.
Jerry Blavitt here to tell you about St. Francis Medical Center, the heart hospital in the city of Trenton. St. Francis Medical Center is one of the region's top cardiac care centers, serving all of Mercer, Bucks, and Burlington counties. Their staff of highly trained physicians provide state-of-the-art heart care to patients with cardiovascular disease and pride themselves as being the only regional heart center to offer a full spectrum of individualized services. And Consumer Report ranks St. Francis Medical Center in the top 10 hospitals in New Jersey for safety, and the #1 hospital in Mercer County, St. Francis Medical Center, the Heart Hospital.
Welcome back to the Mercer County Football Show, presented by St. Francis Medical Center here on WBCB1490.com. Mike Samsel, George O'Gorman. Pleasure to be with you for season number 3, and we thank you so much for joining us here on the Mercer County Football Show. Taking a look at the slate of games on Saturday. The first one will be on the WBCB Sports Network starting at 12:45 with the Trentonian pregame show. It will feature Rancocas Valley taking on Trenton, a great George, a great early season test for both teams.
Yeah, it is an great early season test. Last year, I think they played in what was it, week 7,
And it ended up being one of the games of the year.
and Trenton went down there and talking to Tariq, we had some memories of that game. I was right down in the corner of the end zone, and I thought that Tremaine Nieves scored the touchdown that would have put Trenton ahead, but Trenton a couple of blunders and turned the ball over, and turnovers ended up hurting them, and that's why Trenton didn't go into the playoffs, with an undefeated record. They ended up losing to South Brunswick, but they also would have won their division in the West Jersey Football League. But Rancocas Valley got the win, and Rancocas Valley is loaded again. Jordan Sandusky back, he's their quarterback, and they lost some pretty good guys, but they got some big linemen as always, and they got a new turf field. I know, that's the Irish. Notre Dame's going to be down in a couple of weeks to play Rancocas Valley. I know that turf field is something that Tariq Holman, boy, he's begging for over at Trenton High.
Right.
Who knows if he has another great year, because I don't know if you got a chance to see many of the Tornadoes games over there at Bill Harvin Field last year, but they really drew crowds. I mean, once the enthusiasm spread that Trenton was on the rebound, they were getting good crowds, and that enthusiasm is still there. They got a new turf on the field. I mean, turf in sense of sod, but the actual AstroTurf or whatever is what Tariq would like to have. He does have some speed. One thing that's going to be interesting about the Tornadoes is they've got a couple of freshmen and sophomores that are going to get some quality time with the on their offense. Tommy Tootle, I think he was one of the key players of Trenton's championship basketball team. He's back. I think he's playing defensive. I think he's in his defensive secondary, wide receiver. Javon Clark, if you remember last year, was one of the outstanding running backs in Mercer County. Also was the MVP in the Sunshine game played back on July 1st this summer. His younger brother is coming in, and he's an excellent young running back, and Tariq is really high on him. And Tariq told me, I'm not going to mention his name now because we'll mention it at the game, but he said he's got a kid there. He said he gets to the corner, he's gone.
Yeah.
And he said he's only a freshman. And he said, I just give him the ball. I said, is he going to run up the middle, run outside? He said, I just give him the ball and let him run.
Yeah.
He said, because he can do it all.
A little bit like Shelley Dearden used to do with Trey Lowe off the bench when he was a freshman when Ewing won their state championship.
That's right.
And it's really going to be interesting to see how Trenton comes together. Now, the interesting thing about Trenton is they don't really have a youth football program.
Well, they have the Little Tornadoes,
right,
which has sent some good players onto the Trenton High varsity. But
for the most part, when Tariq Coleman gets his hands on these kids, it's the first time they're really learning how to play football.
But he's got a great coaching staff, and Tariq's a great coach. And as he said, he said, they gave me a lot of credit. He said, but it's not me. He said, it's the kids.
Right.
He said, these kids want football at Trenton High to be synonymous with the outstanding programs that the basketball team, the boys basketball team has had, the girls basketball team has had, the track teams have had. They want to be considered in that level. They don't want to be a team that, after 1 month into the season, they've already got a losing record and they're not headed for anywhere. He said, these kids have put in the commitment. He said, that's why we were good last year, because those kids were tired of losing.
Right.
And once they got some success, things just mushroomed for them.
George O'Gorman had an opportunity to sit down with Tariq Coleman. We'll hear about that coming up on the Trentonian pregame show. That will be on Saturday afternoon. Hear it on 1490 WBCB as part of the WBCB Sports Network. A couple of other of the games on Saturday afternoon. We'll find out a little bit about Hamilton Township, George, and where they're going to be. At 1 p.m., Lenape comes on down to take on Nottingham. That one over at Nottingham. Big game for Nottingham to host, but almost brand new at every skill position is John Adams' unit.
They got a couple kids back, but not enough to get through. Lenape is a team that's coming off 3 straight 4-win seasons, and this is their first time really venturing into Mercer County, and they're excited about it. And they play that tough West Jersey schedule with a lot of the teams in South Jersey,
right,
who we don't get to see much we read about him and hear about him, but we don't get to see him play. But Lenape, is always one of the strong teams. They play such a murderous schedule. Mm-hmm. They've had, I think, 3 straight 4-win seasons. They should be much improved this year. We're going to see a lot of those Burlington County teams. Cinnaminson is coming up here to play at Robbinsville on Friday night. Mm-hmm. So that's another game. And Hopewell Valley goes to Burlington Township, as we mentioned earlier. So, there's some interesting matchups here. And, Mercer County football, I mean, we're getting ready to kick off the season. And, once you get that football blood and you're starting to, to boil, you really get excited about it. And we're looking forward to having let's just put it this way, an entertaining season. I'm not going to say it's a championship one, because that's pretty hard to say right now, but it'll be entertaining.
A game that should be very entertaining features West Windsor Plainsboro North coming down into Steinert to take on the Spartans. That game kicks off at 11 a.m. Again, another one of those good benchmarks. Another new head coach, Jeff Riley, who was the defensive coordinator last year over at Hopewell Valley, is now the head coach at West Windsor Plainsboro North. Chris Casamento moved on to one of the teams down in the short conferences. Dan Caruso has himself a quarterback now with Kyle Muller. It's a matter of if he can find a line to keep Muller healthy. He can certainly sling the ball around the yard.
Well, this should be an excellent game because you got probably the best quarterback coming back in Mercer County.
Yeah, Kevin Murphy.
With West Windsor North, who threw for, I think it was like 1,200 yards. And remember, in the playoff first round last year, Kevin Murphy and the West Windsor North Knights went down to Brick.
Yeah.
And they were leading going into the fourth quarter.
Mm-hmm.
Brick came back to win. Brick went on to win the Central Jersey Group 4,
yeah,
or Group 5, I guess, or 4 championship. But from what I hear, that Murphy is strong as ever. A couple people that have seen their scrimmages say that they can really move the ball. And the big question was, does he have anybody who can catch it? Well, from all indications, he's got about 3 or 4 receivers who can catch the ball.
Yeah. So it should be very interesting to watch the North Knights. It's been a couple of years, obviously last season, but before that, it had been a little while since the North Knights had made the playoffs and been competitive. They went through a stretch, I believe they lost 14 straight games or something like that. Well, now it looks like West Windsor Plainsboro North could be back and could be a pretty interesting team here in Mercer County
One
this
team
year.
we haven't mentioned is the Hamilton Hornets.
Yeah.
Tom Hoagland, except for Chappie, he's probably the dean of coaches now in Mercer County.
Yeah.
He's got Kyle Bond, would I thought might have been a returning quarterback, but actually they've got Bond playing in the defensive backfield. Mm-hmm. And they've got a couple of young underclassmen as quarterbacks. The Hornets have a great tradition. It hasn't really, flourished the last couple of years, but I think Tom Hoagland's got these kids really hungry to have a good season, and they're going to open up at Princeton. Mm-hmm. All indications are the Hornets should be able to win that game on Saturday at 2 o'clock. Princeton's got they really don't have much at all.
Right.
But they've got the good young quarterback, and we'll see if he's got anybody he can throw the ball to.
Well, a win for Hamilton would be huge for that program, simply to just get any sort of positive momentum rolling. That's a program who started out 4-0 2 years ago and hasn't really recovered since. They finished down the stretch 1-5 and haven't been good the past couple of years. So it's, any win to start out the season for Hamilton to get some positive momentum going back through that program would probably be a good thing.
And then they'll be heading home the following week to open up their home schedule against Notre Dame.
Right. So
it's a big test for Tom Hoagland and the Hornets, who, if they can avoid turning the ball over and can just build momentum as they go along and not have anything negative happen to them in terms of costing them wins, this team can build confidence and as they hopefully build some wins.
Yeah, certainly so. Final game we haven't mentioned yet so far. Ewing is at Lawrence. We talked about Lawrence, pretty depleted, brand new head coach. But a team that's not all that depleted is the Ewing Blue Devils and Drew Bessler. Drew has a team that made the playoffs last year. He's rebuilding that program, and it gets a little bit better under Drew every year. This is a nice opportunity for Drew Bessler and the Blue Devils. Try and start off on a good foot and maybe get some momentum rolling in Ewing football this year as well.
I thought they started to build some momentum last year, and as you said, Drew's got a nice ball club that has experience, mm-hmm. and that's a big crosstown rivalry there between Ewing and Lawrence. Two of the Lawrence obviously coming off the best season it ever had, where it not only won its first playoff game, but won 2 playoff games, and went to the championship game at TCNJ in front of 8,000 people.
Yeah.
Where they played Hopewell Valley, and Hopewell had to come from behind. But if Nate Jones can find the weapons to go with it, that Lawrence may not be as bad as some people may think they're going to be.
Right. 2 games for you this weekend on the WBCB Sports Network. On Friday night, 6:45 starts the Trentonian pregame show. George and I are out at Notre Dame, as it will be Notre Dame taking on Allentown. Saturday afternoon, 1 p.m., Rancocas Valley takes on Trenton. That'll do it for the week number 1 of the Mercer County Football Show. We thank you so much for joining us. We thank the St. Francis Medical Center for allowing us to be with you every week here on WBCB1490.com. For George, I'm Mike. We'll see you next week. Enjoy your football weekend, everyone.